Hello, welcome everybody to Treasury Automation Workgroup. And today is 22nd July. And we already shared a bit of agenda and our plan for today's session, but we're going to record the first part of it, which is an introduction to the workgroup, and we're going through the automation project itself. And then we will be cutting the recording, as most of the other stuff will be purely coordinational and operational. Best place to start, I guess, is Treasury Cool proposal itself. But let's check what is this proposal addressing. Okay, actually, this server-side JSON generator does also share a bit of our problems and things where it's coming from. So in the Treasury Cool operations, if those who have been aware of this call or have checked what we are doing, we're auditing and reviewing and organizing all the tasks that in the Ambassador program people are doing, or when they are requesting funds from the Ambassador Treasury. And these tools we are using, well, we have tried to be as open as possible, but for example, some things are very complex and always quite change a lot. For example, Treasury Manager, which is an Excel file that has a lot of moving parts and constantly evolving configurations to match with the Ambassador needs and then the expectations from Treasury. And throughout this process, we currently have the situation where in the end, our the part that calculates the transaction for the Cardano blockchain takes quite some time, and it depends heavily on who is using, which computer is using, or what device is being used. So this project now is trying to aim this kind of computational issues that are caused by these kinds of blockchain requirements and the tools we are using, and we want to move it to the server side where now that the computation is not done on the device that is being used, but we have our own a host service that does these things. Another thing what is also sometimes causing delays or issues is that the transaction is currently only held by Treasury Cool members, and not always they are maybe available at that time, or the on-chain some tools is currently not working like that. There could be all kinds of issues, and now we want to make a state between that when in operation call we do the first bundle transaction, we don't have to wait for the transaction to arrive back to us and to get the hash in order to continue to do the second transaction. Instead, we then be able to kind of prepare the transactions and put them somewhere, store them and pay them later. And this will decouple this requirement of bundling transaction and paying it. Now we can prepare as many as we need and pay them when we need or when it's appropriate. So basically, these are the two main problems we're addressing. We've ideated quickly on some deliverables, which gonna go today. We are basically going through these points and try to roadmap a bit out of what can we expect from the next meeting when we arrive. Can we already try something? But overall, cloud-based JSON generation, this is the server side. The computation API integration is that makes it possible to transfer this knowledge between manager and cloud-based computation, whatever we use. And then error messaging is more like the visual front end for the users in manager to understand if anything went wrong with API or cloud or blockchain resolves itself and display it then based on that on the manager itself. Currently, also any kind of technical errors or stuff, we need to go into code and figure out what is happening. And so there is a lot of these things that also going to be improved. Then bundle transaction fitting. This is something, well, we already have improved it quite a lot and have some ways to to reduce the size, but it hasn't been fully automated. Like right now, we have to decide how many contributors we want to have there, and we can estimate on and wait for the computational results to see when we can, how big our transaction can be. But now implementing this cloud-based and API integration and like these features will help us to modularize that. We theoretically could also automatically optimize the transaction. So instead of us trying to figure it out, we just say, this is the max limit, bundle this together, and it should do the best, most efficient payment structure. Yeah, there are other things we have like considered to lower fees, but looks like based on like previous quarter, now as we have run it 3 quarters, and our like transaction amount of contributors have increased to almost 3 bundle transactions per week. Even though like there is a higher liquidity, our cost of transactions has not increased by 3x. It's somewhere 2.5. So another transaction actually already has like pretty good efficient cost reduction because we are bundling same wallets under same transaction, and that is already done by the manager. But yeah, there are further some things we could improve and automate. Documentation, these are like 3 things we are always like have very bad like documentation on that. Like there is like snapshot of last year, or some of them are like even 2 years old. So updating and process map, and these I think which we are also starting from like basic things what we can deliver for the next session is documentation, clear processes, what are being expected, and also an overview of transaction sheet, where right now we have only the guide for the first part, and some data mapping research view updates, because most likely we're also going to update the JSON format. Maybe not the JSON format itself, but the way we are mapping data. Because we do have sometimes these issues where we have exactly the same task name, which makes sense to be exactly the same name and same person. But if it doesn't have like unique identifier, like a date or some version, we are not able to put it into the same transaction. But theoretically, blockchain could accept it, and we could make it readable if we, and it is like readable because of the blockchain headers, but because our manager limitations, we're not able to do these kinds of transactions as of yet, because the data mapping is based on task name, but we should have some other ways to do it. But yeah, that's a technical thing, and that is something we need to, but it affects everything basically, because there are like baseline standards. Estimated cost to achieve the call, were modest, I guess, 500 per month, and improved efficiency. Yeah, like these are what we basically get out of it. In the team, we're gonna have a project manager, basically, I guess, me, and backend developer will be Andre, Excel developer will be me, and tester and reviewers will be all those who are joining these calls, or paying attention, or joining Treasury the operation calls, or Treasury the GUI calls, where they're like most of where this information will be shared, I guess, and used. How to get onboarded? Yeah, simple, just join sessions, join Discord, share your interest, share what you see the gaps, what we are doing here, and how to improve. If there is any like extra documentation that we address, the Treasury GUI proposal itself has like contingency budget for extra documentation. And there's this initial roadmap that we drafted, which I guess we have this stand-up session where we are right now. Yeah, already here is shared a bit, like documentation is a starting point, but like which models, which steps we gonna take is to be figured out. And the second phase, we start developing month or two, should be testing deliverables. So basically, by the next session, I think we have most of the basic elements. I don't know how much of the automation itself we have ready, or if you can use it. But yeah, this basically the second session would be where we coordinating the testing and deliverables and stuff. And yeah, here is treasury operators is for testing because this is a clear place where it's used. And documentation will be then also added to this Miro board. You can see relevant links here, and today we'll be working on roles and deliverables and a bit of schedule. And if there's something else that is related, maybe we start to pull on some Catalyst Swarm Treasury Manager doc, because I already see we're missing that Miro board here, so that's something to add. Maybe some detailed stuff we're going to put also here. But that would basically conclude this proposal. Not this one, this server-side JSON. Treasury Group does address also a bit of that, but mostly on the general side. So, yeah, thanks for watching. And in the descriptions, you will find the meeting summary and links to this Miro board.